We're live. Oh, Steve. Getting the asthma going.
Tonight, the hidden value of site analysis and landscape design by Nature's Rhythm Design Studio. Back to you, Jesse.
It's a thriller. When most people think when most people think about landscape design, they imagine plants, patios, and pretty sketches, which is a good thing to think about. But behind every beautiful, long-lasting outdoor space lies something less visible: a thorough site analysis. You don't even know what that is, do you?
You know, some say it's the quiet foundation that every successful project can mean the difference between a thriving landscape and one that fails within a few years.
Within a few years,
Yeah.
it will. If you don't do it right, it will fall apart. That's true in landscape and probably a lot of other things. So.
Thoughtful Thursdays, oh hey, designed into the rhythm of nature, they say.
All right, let's get into it, Joey.
So when we pick up a project, we usually tell them, hey guys, pleasure to meet you. Tell us about your project. Tell us about all their wonderful ideas and stuff. That is what we do in the initial consultation. And then we set up what's called an appointment called the site analysis.
We also call it a measurement and analysis.
Now, what is that? That's a great question.
I think you know what measurement means.
Measurement are measurements.
We measure things.
In imperial units.
Right. We
Typically.
use inches and feet.
That's how you get the layout of your house, your yard, your space, whatever it may be. And so now we dive into what is the site analysis after the fact, once we gather all that information and data. So a couple bullet points of what we actually do there, in case you're curious.
I am.
You can just go back and forth.
What do we do there?
So there's a lot of things to consider. Sometimes, obviously, we don't do all the things. Sometimes we do. It kind of depends on the scope of the work. But generally, these are the main things we look for. And again, it's a little more site specific. But for the sake of learning, let us teach you about a site analysis, my friends. So it's a process where we go to the site and carefully study the property, take our keen eyes to it, and make sure we understand what we're dealing with here. So we're going to start with bullet 1, which is the soil conditions. Now, a lot of people don't know this. They always like to skimp out on amending the soil. They say, dirt's dirt, Jesse.
It's not.
Dirt's simply dirt.
It's not. Don't believe
that. It's not, guys. It's very, very not right at all. The dirt and everything that you don't really see affects like 80% of what happens to that plant, whether it's going to live or not. It's just really the rest of the top, what you see is really just sunlight conditions. But everything else happens below the ground. So that has to do with composition. We can have a soil test done. Clemson helps us out with that a lot of the time. So we'll take a little sample of your soil. We'll send that over, and they do a bunch of very intricate analysis and testing.
All kinds of lab work.
They taste it, make sure it tastes right.
Probably.
And they give us the results to tell us what the composition is. Now, what's that matter? Well,
you tell me.
If it's a certain profile, we have our sand, silt, loam, clay. It's like a cool little matrix of different kinds of soils. They each hold different nutritional values, and water flows through them differently. So if we're going to go for a specific type of landscape, say you like Mediterranean, tropical, French garden, that plant palette is going to be dependent on the soil conditions. So if you have to do some amending, that's the time we're going to figure that out. Let's see if your soil, what it lacks, what it needs more of, so that you have a thriving landscape. With that comes the pH levels. That is, as you know, your little litmus test, whether it's blue or pink. It's your acidity, guys. Soil has acidity.
It does.
There's basic and acid in there, and each plant prefers a different type. There's obviously a range, but we'll learn about that too. So basically, whatever the plant likes, you sometimes have to amend the soil. Get the pH.
Speaking of pH, you guys go look up pH and hydrangeas. And you tell me what you find out.
Mm-hmm.
You will learn something there.
Might even affect the color of your plant, maybe.
Maybe the color.
And of course, fertility. Sometimes you have some compacted soil. And when you see the ground is all compacted and crushed, it looks like an arid desert. That's probably because it is. And there really isn't much nutrients in that soil, which means your plants are not going to do good there.
Not happy.
They got to eat. So
Will not be happy.
that's how we start with soil conditions.
Right.
What else do we do, Jesse?
Well, we got to look at your drainage and your grading. So we got to know where the water's going. Some plants love to have their feet in the water all the time. And some plants hate it. And so we got to know where the water's going so that we can keep the plants alive. We got to know where the water's going so we don't wash out your patio, or you got to know where the water's going so we don't flood your house, right? Like there's all these. So the drainage and grading is very important part of the whole process for not just your, and you got to think about this too. It's not just your landscape, because just because the water leaves your yard doesn't mean it's like, I mean, it's going to go somewhere else. It's going to go into a neighbor's yard. And so by changing your grading, you might end up flooding your neighbor's yard, and that'll make your neighbors very unhappy.
I want to push stuff downriver.
That's right.
Idea.
So, and you want as much water as you can to go down through the soil and not sliding across your soil. We saw a backyard one time that was full of concrete, the whole yard. It was like a quarter acre of concrete. And then they were confused as to why the neighbor's yards were flooding. And then
Water needs to percolate.
It's got to go down, not just, down. It's got to go down.
Into the earth.
That's something else we do. What's another concern in site analysis? What's something else we look at?
Really important one is your sun and shade pattern. Because like we emphasize, right plant,
right place.
There's a lot to do with your sun pattern. So if you have a super shady area, don't put a plant that needs full sun there.
Yeah, hibiscus don't like shade, in case you didn't know.
And if a place is getting blasted with the sun, don't put a plant that likes shade.
Yeah, the fascia out in the middle of your yard.
It'll die immediately no matter what you do to it. So that's a pretty straightforward one. But again, when we go out there, we make sure we get the orientation right and see maybe your house is casting some shade. That'll just affect what plants we can use.
Right. Next, we're going to look at wind and microclimates. So depending on the direction your house faces and the shape of your house, you can have pockets where the wind in the wintertime can just be overwhelming for some of your plants. Some plants can deal with the cold wind, and some plants cannot. So you got to be careful kind of what you put over there in like a windy spot, let's say. Or maybe you got a microclimate where you got you got a brick house and you got a brick kind of patio out, and it's out on the southwest side of your house, and it just gets baked in the sun no matter what time of year it is. Well, those bricks are going to hold that heat, so that little area is going to stay warmer, generally, relatively speaking, to other spots around your house. That makes a microclimate, and we can put things that maybe don't like the cold so much in a spot like that. So that's something to think about.
And then last but not least, the existing conditions or existing vegetation. We just got to get an understanding of what all is out there, what we can use as an anchor point, a framing, what looks good.
We can maybe repurpose it, put it in a different location. We've done that before.
So taking in just all that existing conditions. Oftentimes you don't want to completely alter the entire landscape, because usually there's a lot of character that just needs to be accentuated.
Usually. And
so that's what you gotta look for. So that is what our site analysis.
That's what we do, huh?
So why?
But who cares?
Why does that even matter?
Why does it matter?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Well, what happens if we ignore it?
Well, if you don't have a plan and you go out and try and do something, usually just shooting from the hip just doesn't end well. Usually. So put the wrong plant in the wrong place. It's not good. You just wasted a bunch of money, because if a plant doesn't like the soil or the light condition, it will die.
And the site analysis is all about finding those places, right? You get the idea of right plant kind of makes sense. People know what plants are. Right place gets a little more complicated. And so that's why the analysis comes in, because we figure out the places, and then we know what plants can go in the different places.
So those plants will be happy and healthy.
That's right. Why it matters again, drainage problems again, right? Because it cause flooding or erosion. If you don't pay attention to your drainage and your water, bad things will happen. If you just go out there and start throwing stuff around, highly likely it's not going to work.
Yep. And then you want to just place all your hardscape in the right spot too. and understand drainage patterns, because if you have a piece of hardscape somewhere that's getting perpetually flooded or has basically just a stream flowing on it, it'll cause a bunch of foundational problems, and it'll start cracking or shifting or eroding, and it's just not good.
Not good.
You gotta work with the water, not against it.
Which means if you don't do a plan, you end up wasting a bunch of money on those features. You waste money on the patio because now it floods and cracks and looks like not good. You wasted money on plants because you put a shade plant in a sunny location. Maybe you don't care, but I got a feeling you care.
So all that to say, if you do have a plan, which is our job, is to create a plan for you guys, it'll be thoroughly thought out. You'll actually know what direction it's headed to, and we give the contractor knows exactly what to do. And we use our expertise to make sure that everything is informed and correct.
We use our noggins, our expertise that's up there in our noggins.
That's right.
Pretty good stuff. And then we have a real life example. If you guys are interested, we got a place in Greenville was having a major problem with flooding and just erosion in the yard.
All the water flowed to the back.
To the back of the property.
And it was shady, so it's challenging conditions.
Yeah, how do you get grass to grow in a shady, wet spot? Well,
so we got creative with it.
We got creative with it. What did we do?
We used some artificial turf around the back. And then we had river rock hardscape beds, so that way we had no problems with the erosion when the heavy storms came through.
It also slows down the water. So when you slow down the water, like instead of going down the hill, it goes
down into the water table, which is what we want, and we don't flood the neighbor. So that's turned out really good.
Yep,
held up.
Yeah,
nicely.
The synthetic grass is very useful if you got a real shady spot that just can't grow. You just can't get anything to grow in there.
Anytime it rains, it just turns into a mud pit.
Yeah,
and you consider artificial.
You really should. And if you want to have a grass type look, I mean, there's plants you can put out there and make a shade garden, but maybe you want grass, or something that looks like grass. Yeah, that's a great one.
So yeah, it's just the process we follow is just to make sure that first step, that groundwork is done correctly, and get all the information to inform the design moving forward.
There you go.
Recipe for success.
Success. And then finally, we root all that analysis and all our understanding of plants. It's all based in science. It's all based in physics and biology and plant physiology, and that's how we come up with the plans. That's how we justify the plan, is by applying our noggins and the science that exists up in there to your site, so that you end up with you get up with a good yard the first time. You don't have to do it again.
So if you're ready to design smarter, go ahead and give us a call. If you're considering a new outdoor project, don't skip the most important stage, everybody. With proper site analysis, your design will be stronger, more sustainable, and enjoyable, and most importantly, last for many, many years.
Many years.
So it's an investment in your extension of home that is your yard.
Right.
Contact us today.
That's right.
For a free consultation.
Right away. Peace out, guys.
Hey, guys.
We'll see you next time.
The grass is alive. Swing it and snap it, feel the vibe. Thoughtful Thursdays, oh hey, hey. Designed to the rhythm of nature, they say.